It's official. Patrick Bet-David is going to moderate the debate between Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson this Friday. I'm JP. This is Truth Probe. Welcome in. Patrick Bet-David has announced that he is going to officially moderate the debate between Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson. If you don't know who Patrick Bet-David is on X, you can go to PBD's podcast and you can check him out there. He has a very popular podcast. I'm sure most of you have heard of him by now. So this is good news. Now, there's been a little bit of back and forth since yesterday, and I'm going to go ahead and get you caught up. I know a lot of you have told me that you're not on X and that you appreciate the updates, because I am on X and I am following the back and forth, and I'm going to try to keep you guys posted as well. Let's go back to yesterday. Apparently, Joe Rogan had accepted first, or Joe Rogan had offered to be the moderator for the debate, and Candace was not able to do that, as she told us before. She's pregnant and she can't travel. Apparently, Joe Rogan was not able to travel to them, and he said he would do it on his day off, but they weren't able to make that work. So that's where Patrick Bet-David's PBD stepped in. So going back to yesterday, Candace, after her show, she posted a few things on X, and I'm going to just read a few things to you, get you caught up. Candace says, just reminding everyone that Andrew Wilson was quite literally offered to debate me or Baron Coleman on our respective platforms for $300K. I literally accepted the public offer that he made. He also demanded that we negotiate the exact terms of the debate publicly here on X, which took a day and a half, so that none of us could edit the agreed upon terms thereafter. Now Andrew is posting hostage videos, complaining that when Joe Rogan offered to host us, therefore I would not agree to let him suddenly edit the painfully and publicly negotiated terms which he insisted upon. He's upset I accepted his initial offer, followed his initial demands, and wouldn't suddenly pivot and agree to fly down to Texas, instead allowed Joe Rogan to host the debate. Is this the first time anyone in Andrew Wilson's life required him to be a man of his word? Because he seems genuinely hurt and confused by it. That's interesting. I had heard something before that he offered to debate Baron Coleman, but Baron said, no, I'm not going to get involved in all that, because he saw Andrew's debating style and he said, no, it's just going to turn into a food fight, and I don't really want that. Candace did post something about this Joe Rogan offering to moderate. So I'll read her response to Joe Rogan, and then I'll read what she said after that. So she says, hey Joe, Andrew was quite difficult to nail down on terms for the debate. I would like to hold him to what has finally been agreed to, without any more changes, because I think he's actually just a routine liar who wants to buy himself some time after months of fake internet bravado. He cares and knows nothing about Charlie Kirk, yet has been ankle biting for 4 months now over an issue that actually deeply matters to me. It's not every day you watch your friend get assassinated, then have to deal with a chain-smoking loser who is challenging you over documents and incentives. He's never even bothered to read. After lying about me on your show so brazenly, Andrew now has my attention. Were it any other person who I thought was being honest about their opinions, I would be grateful for the opportunity to jump on your platform and debate. But in this unique circumstance, I'd like to hold Andrew to his own express bravado this Friday on my podcast. She shared that with us just to kind of show that Joe had offered to moderate and that she was respectfully saying that she couldn't get out there. And she says, in the interest of transparency, when Joe Rogan offered to moderate the debate, which was after Andrew had finally agreed to the terms, here was my polite response to him. I remain grateful that Joe offered, but I stand by my reasons for declining. And then she wrote what I just read to you. Going up a little bit more, Candace says, ugh, I barely had my coffee and can already tell the overwhelming evidence crowd is lying about the recent case filings in the hope that no one will actually read them or understand them. How are they not tired of running the exact same strategy and losing every time? Pay a bunch of influencers to make emotive claims and hope people don't actually read through the filings? It is exactly as they did with the ATF report and every other element of this case. Lie quickly, repeatedly, and hope no one will take notice. I will report on what's actually in the filings later today. So I'm assuming that on her show, she's going to go ahead and talk about that. We'll see. Now, this tweet that she did was in response to Andrew Wilson releasing what she calls a hostage video. This is Andrew asking his supporters to crowdfund this $300,000 that he had to pay for this debate. Now, I'm kind of neutral on the 300,000. I don't really have a huge opinion on that. If that's what they want to do, then it's a free country. I mean, they can do that if they want. So Andrew released this video when he set up a GoFundMe page. I'll show you the page first, and then I'll show you a little clip of the video. This is the page. I'm going to refresh it so that we see what it is right now. Okay, so it's at $49,000. His goal is to reach 300,000. It's just under 50. I think he will make the 300,000. I think that's very, very attainable, but we'll see. He did release this video, and I think everybody has seen it by now. I'll play a little bit of it.
Let me give everyone an update of exactly where we are. A few weeks ago, Brian Atlas, a friend of mine who runs the Whatever podcast, offered up $100,000 for Candace Owens to debate with me about the murder of Charlie Kirk on his platform. He eventually raised it to $150,000, to which I said I would match it if we could actually debate on neutral ground. I expressed this story recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. Candace and her fans' reactions were volatile, to say the least. She issued a strange counter that I needed to pay her $500,000 and that TPUSA needed to, quote, claim me. Now, I don't work for TPUSA, so I couldn't grant that concession, as it would have been a lie.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I think most people have seen this by now, but it is interesting to me that he does go into a lot of, he attacks, basically calls people the Candace cult, the people that support her or follow her. I think that's pretty unfair. I think she has 5 or 6 million subscribers, and I don't think that it's a cult at all. For someone that doesn't want ad hominem attacks, he really is doing a lot of it himself. He's attacking the Candace supporters and calling them names, and he's at the same time he's making himself look like he's self-sacrificing, like he's just doing this because he's the bigger person, and he's conceding to all these things that Candace has the upper hand somehow. And I don't buy into any of that, but what he's doing is he's laying the groundwork to get into people's minds a certain way of thinking, like he's the one that's the underdog, and he is the one with, his platform is not nearly as big as Candace's, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, to me, what matters would be the substance of the debate and the way that they handle themselves. I'm not really happy with the way either one of them have handled themselves, honestly, because both of them are calling each other liars and kind of calling each other names and things. But I'm definitely more on the Candace side as far as I want to know what happened. And if that's really where she's coming from, then that's where I'm coming from. And now Andrew, to me, from what I've seen, and you all know I have been digging into his past, trying to see what he's all about. It seems to me that he is more about winning than he is about making sense or making a good point. He might make good points, but people have to understand what he's talking about. You can't just go in there and ambush your challenger with a bunch of words and questions that don't make sense to anybody. To me, that's not a good way to do it. So he did do that, and yeah, his Give Send Go page is at 50,000 right now. I'll keep you updated on that. A few more back and forth on X. Let's see, Quintessential Contrarian. You could have done it for free though on Rogan, because more people would have seen it. The debate prompt is not in your favor. Should have gone for a free conversation. Praying for you and justice for Charlie. Candace responds, yes, I could have done it for free. In fact, virtually every other person I've ever debated in my career, I did so entirely for free. And then she goes on to say how other people have offered to pay her and she has turned them down. She could go on and on about the examples, $0 when she offered or exchanged when she debated Rabbi Shmuley or Rabbi Barclay and so on. What you're pointing out is that Andrew Wilson is just an ass. She says people can and do achieve debates, the overwhelming majority of them, through respectful request. He instead employs theatrical tactics of name-calling, claiming people are scared of him, rather than, being completely unaware of his existence or simply disinterested. And then he offers ever increasing money to prove his point that people are just too intimidated to face off against him. As the saying goes, a fool and his money are soon parted. That's how she ended that tweet, and that was interesting, that she's never accepted money. I've heard her say that before, which is why I was a little surprised that she did it this time. Daisy writes, this man has been relentlessly begging Candace to debate him and using the $300K offer as a talking point to insinuate that because she hasn't yet agreed, she must be too inept to do so. Like many others, she has not heard of him or this offer until recently. She has since accepted the debate, and they both ironed out back-end logistics. So, and she goes on, and that's kind of what I've seen. I've seen him going on a lot of platforms talking about how he wanted to debate Candace or Baron Coleman. He debated Zach Costello and probably some others, but I know that he was chomping at the bit to try to get to Candace. Mel writes, OMG, stop it. This loser was begging for this debate, and now he's acting like he wanted nothing to do with it, but it's his solemn duty, which is why he set up a give, send, go. I genuinely can't with this man. In my comment section from yesterday, Anna Dosif writes, I saw in a comment once, if you debate Andrew Wilson long enough, it will eventually devolve into him asking, what do you mean by mean? What does mean mean? Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen. What is the meaning of the word is? I think it was back in the Clinton days when they said, well, it depends on what the meaning of the word is. And honestly, I've known people that have said, I can debate both sides of any issue. I mean, there are people that are good at debating both sides of any issue. It doesn't matter if they believe in it or not. And I guess if you really get down to it, maybe debating isn't about getting to the truth. Maybe it's just about those techniques and winning a point. But in my opinion, I think in this case that it should be used to get to the truth. Adam Falgout 6601 writes, so logically his arguments have weight to them, but the way he presents them and tries to convey his own point does more harm than good. Harm meaning less respect than before of his position. Good meaning good people stop and contemplate his points based on the argument itself. He gets in the way of his own argument, which is technically superior. That's fair, but if he's arguing something philosophical that nobody understands, then again, I don't see the point, but I guess people just like to debate, sometimes just to debate. So if that's the case, then fine. Jay Branscombe writes, Candace has never offered any firm conclusions. She points to the many holes in the FedSlop narrative that suggests a nefarious plot, but never a specific claim she must support. And I've said that too in the past, although I think Candace is even willing to defend some of the things that she's never technically claimed. I think I've heard her say, or she's going to defend whatever they say, I guess, as long as it's within reason. So I suppose we'll see. That's why it's going to be such an interesting debate on Friday. So let me go to Heavy Duty Country a little bit. He talked a little bit about Andrew claiming stolen valor, and I want to kind of get into that just a little. I won't go too long on this.
Let me just make sure that we're all on the same page here. Andrew, have you ever committed stolen valor? There's probably a couple of things, to be honest, that are worse. But so, Andrew, where is the lie in this other than you lying?
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Before these scammers cry.
Uh-oh. So which is it, Big Andrew, Andy, buddy? Did you serve or did you not serve?
So that's a very good question, and this debate won't be about that, but I think it's interesting to note that he's claiming two different things. Just something to know. Now, Heavy Duty Country is offered to get in the ring with Andrew and also to debate him. I think he wants to have a friendly sparring match with him and then afterwards have a debate for an hour or something he was talking about. But I don't think that's going to happen. Also, yesterday I talked just a little bit about Erika Kirk and it's a comment that she had made in one of the last appearances she made somewhere. And it was regarding her talking about how she understands that the college kids want to hear from their peers. They don't want to hear from some man that they just throw out there to talk to them, like Charlie used to do. You know, does she realize that Charlie built his entire operation based on debating these college kids and trying to open their minds? Why would she say such a thing? Let's listen to this. And the full clip this time. I just played a part yesterday.
There will be some of you who are going to be amazing to have you sit underneath that tent in the quad and take on every single question in a very respectful manner, and to be able to change people's minds and to impact their hearts. There will be some of you in this room, and you guys will be the ones that are speaking to your own generation. That is way more important than throwing some man on campus that has no connection to you guys. You want to hear from your peers. I know.
Wow, she's really in touch. I think that's the opposite of what Charlie was doing. And when I heard the full clip with the context there, I was like, wow, that is really, really, I mean, you talk about going against everything that Charlie stood for. I think it's official now. I think after hearing this, they just were like, the heck with Charlie. We're just going to do what we want. Charlie built everything on these debates with these college kids, and his videos went viral time and time and time again. I can't even believe that she thinks that it would be a good idea to just get rid of that. But it seems like the turning point that Charlie built is completely gone. It is now under new direction, and it's like when, you know, Coke came out with the new Coke, or, you know, whenever a restaurant like McDonald's changes its recipe, or Domino's Pizza, you know, when they change their recipe and it's just really, really bad. That's what it's like. And I think they're going to be feeling it in their bottom line, is my opinion. I think they will be feeling it. But let me know what you guys think about that, because that one, when I really sat and listened to that, I was like, wow, this is really makes it official. I also noticed that she hasn't been appearing in public very much lately. So I think it finally got through to her that she was so cringy and so annoying and hard to watch that she just had to get out of the way. She had to get off of the screen and let other people do it, I guess. I think it's too late. I think the damage is done, and I think that that's too bad, because that's what Charlie built, and it's really sad to see that happen. But that's what's happening. So I'd really like to know your thoughts on this, and, you know, what you think about Patrick Bet-David, PBD, moderating the debate, and what you think about the back and forth that's going on Twitter, on X, with Candace, Andrew Wilson, and others. And also, what do you think about Heavy Duty's offer to debate, or to fight Andrew and then debate him afterwards? And also what you think about Erika Kirk and her new way of doing things, where they're not going to throw some man out there to debate the kids. They're going to pick one of their own college students to do it. Let me know what you think about all that. I'm going to leave a link to other previous videos right here for you guys to watch. And also, if you want to catch me on Twitter, it's jptruthprobe, or you can email me at jptruthprobe@gmail.com. And I'll do my best to get back with you. And leave me a comment. I do like to read them and interact with you guys, and always appreciate what you have to say. So appreciate you being here. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.